Welcome to Build Out Brief. This is Jim Kunkel, and I so appreciate your support of the Build Out live stream that broadcasts each Wednesday at noon Eastern Daylight Time. The live stream that you're watching right now will be starting in just 1 minute. Let me take this opportunity to talk about Build Out Brief. This content series is a result of viewers like you who overwhelmingly requested that I add a supplemental series to Build Out that centers on professional business topics, is more focused, and global on guests. If you're thinking about starting a live stream, then StreamYard is a platform for you. It's what I use to build you Build Out Brief. After the stream, see the comment or the description section for my special savings referral link. Now, when it comes to having a professional live stream and winning over viewers, you need to make sure that your graphics and supporting promotional items are the best. All of the creative content for Build Out and Build Out Brief are designed and produced with Canva. You should check out Canva. See the comment or description section for my special Canva referral link.
Hi there, I'm Raquel Packets, President of Zen Freight Solutions, your superior transportation partner. I'm also known on Facebook as your Healthy Happy Hiker. Being the CEO of a freight brokerage company is a challenging job, especially during a time where we have so many disruptions in the supply chain. I also used to struggle with daily anxiety, and that led to unhealthy behavior and ultimately depression. I share this with you today to show that we're all human and that the stigma of mental health is old news. Your mental health is just as important as your physical health. And as a business owner, I know and understand how life can be overwhelming at times. So I want to share with you 3 things that I've implemented in my life to keep me healthy and happy. Number 1, always start your morning with gratitude and intention. Did you know that gratitude helps people feel more positive emotions, relish good experiences, and improve their health, deal with adversity, and build strong relationships? Number 2, spend 30 minutes a day in nature. Nature is extremely grounding and healing. And number 3, remember everything is figure-outable. You can do hard things. It's just one tiny step at a time. Thank you so much.
I'm Jim Kunkel, and welcome to Build Out. Today's topic is going to be on COVID-19's impact on women entrepreneurs of the Pacific Islands. Joining me today is Elaine, Chandra, and Payal, Paddy from the island nation of Fiji. Welcome.
Hello.
Elaine,
Thank you, Jim.
No problem. Elaine, if you could do a favor, if you could provide a little background about yourself and what you do professionally in Fiji.
Thank you, Jim. I'm actually an educator, full-time educator by profession. I teach at secondary school level. Apart from that, I am a national youth advisor, so I'm more of in an advisory role to the Minister for Youth and Sports. And what we do is we are at ground level. We actually work with youths who are affected. And when I say youths, these are youths that are mainly from both genders, male and female. And whatever stressing issues they have, we actually take it up to the minister. And then what we do is we try to come up with solutions to help them in terms of grant, proposal writing. There are 4 pillars that we mainly focus on is health and well-being, teaching and induction and training, mental health, and sexual reproductive health teaching. So that is what I do apart from my normal full-time job. And I also run my own business, an online business. Yeah, so that's a bit about me.
What is your online business?
It actually has to do with, so in my online business, what I do is I work with DIY projects that is done by the youth. So I actually get it from them and then I publish it online. So it is up for sale. So one way what I do is I employ them and then the product comes to me and I sell it off. So it's like a win-win situation for them and me to grow into entrepreneurship. Yeah.
Oh, that's very, very, very good. Hey, Payal, if you could do me a favor, if you could cover your professional background and also talk about your business.
All right. Thank you, Jim, for this opportunity. Hi, guys. My name is Payal, and I'm professionally from a sociology and psychology and criminal law background. And it's amazing that I am currently in this field where we do automotive and industrial coating when it comes to preparing a surface or doing industrial coatings for properties or just for personal advocating on nanotechnology in Fiji and the South Pacific. Our business, we provide paint protections, whether it's for building houses or properties, or also for automotive, which we started in 2019. So I'm really excited. We have 3 female staffs who are leading the pack, and we have 2 very energetic boys who work for us. And the experience that I have had with my work and my personal background as a psychologist or a counselor is that understanding the importance of having an equal opportunity for all genders to be able to work in different walks of life, encouraging the unprivileged children back in the Pacific or those young girls who don't get the privilege to explore the other trades in the other areas as their potential to do better in life. So yeah, our business is focused in trying to make life better.
Excellent, excellent. And I so greatly appreciate having you both on to talk about women entrepreneurs and also obviously the impact of COVID-19 on mental health and then also in relationship to women entrepreneurs in Fiji and also the Pacific Island nations. Let's talk a little bit about prior to the pandemic, the role of the pandemic. What was some of the conditions related to mental health when it comes to women and also women entrepreneurs? What were some of the things that you were both dealing with prior to the pandemic?
Elaine?
I go first? Okay. Okay. So I guess when you actually run a business and then suddenly there's a lockdown, and especially for a country like Fiji, we're just a dot on the world map. So if anything happens here, it actually becomes really big, and then it actually deals with how people react to changes. So in Fiji, people are not very much good with certain changes. So when the idea of lockdown came, Ministry of Health actually tried to help people out because we were dealing with the virus. We're actually working with something that we cannot see, and it's teeny tiny and we cannot see it with our eyes. So this is the battle that human had to face. So there were so many drama that happened, and it took to social media and more of like it actually affected me in terms of how I can get my supplies and how I can get certain things, because I'm here in Pacific Harbor and there was a border right at Wainandoi. And for me to actually get things, and if Suva is on lockdown, it was quite hard. And then it started to affect me and I got quite stressed out. And then, when you're stressed out, your emotions build up, and then you're like, you're like really, like it really gets to your nerve, and then, your head starts to ache, and then you have this, this back pain, and then suddenly if someone says something to you, because your emotions are quite high, you actually blow out of proportion, and you start saying things that you really don't want to say to that person, and you just hurt their feelings. So at the end of the day, like it caused a lot of stress for me in terms of getting my resources and getting things done, because I needed money at that point in time to get things done. And so money was the reason that was causing the factor, and I was not able to get it because we were not allowed to move. And if we were caught moving, we would be charged, we'll be given fine. And then it was something that was affecting me very badly, and I was thinking, when would all of this end? And like it was like I was in this tunnel and I could not see the light. Like every day it was getting worse. So yeah, so it was quite impactful. Now I feel better. Even weather back then, when we had all these issues, it felt crazy. Even though I love the sun, whenever I used to see the sun, I started to hate it because it was just bothering me. I think the stress was bothering me. And even when it started to rain, I started to get all emotional because things were not working out for my business and for us. Now, today is a very good day. Things have opened up. Things are blooming. My online business is actually doing good. I'm able to send things. I'm able to go to Suva and get things done. It's a different feeling. I mean, like I actually feel it on my face. There's no stress. There's no headache, and you're able to laugh, and that laughter is coming from inside. You're like, there's this positive vibe coming that, yay, it's gonna happen. And by December, we're going to have the tourist coming in, and things are just gonna, like shoot up, and we're gonna be back in business, and everything's gonna be good. So yeah.
Yeah,
I talk a lot. Sorry.
Yeah, a lot to deal with. Payal, when it comes to the NGOs and other support and resources that were available prior to the pandemic and during the pandemic, what was available to help people out, both with living and then also too related to mental health stresses and issues?
Like, to be very honest, Jim, if we had to stop at a point, the business, our personal life, our lives generally had to stop. We didn't actually realize the global impact that COVID-19 had, whether it was in an individual or a business or a country as a whole. So this took us by storm, that we started realizing what was happening around our neighboring country, that indirectly we were preparing that this is going to happen in Fiji. And if this happens in Fiji, we might all just vanish, because we were thinking if such developed countries are having issues trying to maintain their medical system, their frontline, we were just waiting for the worst to happen for us. So these things, before even COVID came, pre-COVID, it was mentally breaking people down. Whether people started like whether it was a stigma, it became like if somebody around our neighborhood had COVID-19 positive, we wouldn't engage even just to say hi from like 10 meters away, just because we think, oh wow, he has COVID, and we look at that person in a way as like, wow, what has happened, So, and then imagine if you have invested in a business, and specifically in the Pacific Island, as a woman or as an individual. We do not have the finance availability. We don't get that kind of funding and grants available, or we don't have this kind of opportunity where we walk into a bank or a financial institute and say, this is my business idea, I need you to fund it. So what some of the small business really put a lot of sweat and blood in trying to start a business. And when such situation came, it was not just the impact on our mental health, but the impact that we were having is that the emotional, and even at home, that personal relationship with your wife or your children. I had a situation where I know of a couple had 3 kids, and the father just left the home, left the wife and the children, and just took off because he couldn't handle the stress. So it was not just a woman who was going through, or a business person. Every individual, I think, was dealing with it in a very different way. And the help that I would generally say that people were expecting that would come forth, these NGOs, organization that is so-called operating, are advocating on mental health, or our social department. This is where all the focus started diverting into trying to just combat COVID-19, but instead of the other effects of COVID-19, which is mental health, this other social impact that it had on people, no one was addressing it. Everybody left other issues aside and let things collapse and pile up. And every focus was on just trying to get people in hospital, vaccinated, back in your hive, as soon as we did at the target audience. So this was the pressure that was going on. And the business actually went on shutdown, the complete shutdown. There was no movement. Like Elaine said, it would cause a person to collapse mentally. And to be honest, this was a time that I thought every NGO should have just stepped up and said, here we are. We're providing counseling, we're providing mental support, we're providing this kind of, we're here for you. We understand what we're going through, but we didn't have that. We had them also locked away, hiding, putting up, didn't answer calls. They had restrictions themselves. So these things lagged very badly. And I think what we did as an individual, basically I talk about myself, I was doing my own recovery, self-recovery. I started telling myself, if I'm going to sit and let COVID ruin all my investment, my time, I'm going to lose my job and this opportunity that this thing I've worked hard for. So I started preparing during COVID, that when COVID will actually not end, but become a normal, I will be able to say, okay, I have carried on, and here I start. But not everyone is at that mental state as I am. So there are so many people that we know individually, Elaine and I, we have spoken about it, that we know that need active support right now. So we need that intervention. We need that these social NGOs to move in, fill in the gap, provide that opportunity. Because some of the guys, some of the people in Fiji are not vaccinated, and we have no jab, no job policies. So these guys are not able to go back to work, and some of them are sole breadwinners in their family. So you can only imagine what's happening there, because they're not given. They have total shutdown from any sort of government support, because they do not their social and the social and their individual rights to not to say yes or no to vaccine. It doesn't count at this point. So if you want to have a good living, or you want to go back to the normal, you need to get jabbed, otherwise you don't get the opportunity. So imagine, I can only imagine what their mental state is at the moment. So yeah, we definitely we have NGOs, we have support system, but we need them to start implementing and start intervening, filling in the gaps right now.
Okay. And then, really looking at the impact on women-led businesses, women entrepreneurs versus male entrepreneurs, how much of an impact? Obviously, you're dealing with not only the business challenges, but also family challenges. I would imagine, I know early with the outbreak that people who would have COVID, they were, kind of stigmatized. They were viewed, being infected. That was the word all the time you were hearing. How much did that play against women entrepreneurs in Fiji, and also in the Pacific Islands as well?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, it was more of a fear than trying to get us overcome or become stronger. So and half of the I think the information that we as a smaller Pacific Island nation is that we always go back and look what's happening around the world and the global impact, and then we quickly start analyzing, Fiji is such a small country, what's going to happen to us is that this is happening there. So I guess like I said, that we have so many organizations, so many NGOs established, but that particular opportunity, or even right now, this is a very good time that these help come forward. These organizations start helping the young youths try and understand, those young children who are not getting vaccinated, are not in school, to understand, okay, why they're at home, some counseling, some support for women who are trying to go in. What happens, Jim, is that I'm not sure about other places, but through experience, I know that I have few friends who had a business, so they didn't pay their rent. These are lady girls or owning hair salons or a nail shop. So what the landlord would do is just lock the whole shop. You can't enter until you pay us for the whole 6 months of lockdown upfront rent, and then you can come and collect your stuff. So these are mentally very disturbing for any person to have that kind of loss, and the mental impact is God knows how far that goes.
Yeah, it'll be ongoing too. Elaine, you work with the youth and young children. How has the pandemic impacted their mental health?
I guess with the lockdown, especially with the lockdown, I get what the state has to do, because this is it was a global crisis when the pandemic hit the world, and I guess lockdown was the only way through which governments had in its hand to keep its population safe. I mean, we cannot deny the fact that a lot of people have died, like millions and millions of them have passed away, and And when it started off, and I mean, we didn't even have a vaccine. I mean, like, we're lucky that the human mind is so intelligent that we actually developed vaccines, and then things started to shoot in within 2 years ever since it hit. However, not just like Payal would know this because she's a psychology major. We all are different just because if you look at our hands, the sizes, I mean, the fingers are different. So in that context, the way we think, the way we approach to strategies that the government puts in is different. So in terms of young people, they get very influenced with what they see on social media and what is actually posted by the people that they idolize. Because we all have our favorites. I mean, like, I like Beyonce, so if Beyonce says something, I'm actually going to believe her. So in this country, in Fiji, this is something that I have noticed, and on my personal experience, when these youths, they speak to me, they say, oh, madam, this person is writing this, so this is actually happening. Why is it happening? So they actually blow out because their mind is quite innocent. So just because they're young like a plant, we can just sway them, you know, like they actually played with. So when things were locked down, universities were locked down, so everything that happens actually goes up to social media, and then it has a negative impact, and then, you know, like, things just toil over each other. But the reality is that it's something else, you know, like we actually, like, some of us parents, we fail to tell our kids that you are locked down because you're being protected, you know. But they actually, and if parents don't supervise the children, this is something Payal was telling me this morning, and I very much agree with her because I have 3 toddlers in the house. I mean, 2 toddlers and a baby. So I very much agree with her. Everybody gets in the hustle and bustle to fight COVID, but nobody gives a crap. I'm sorry for my language, but nobody cares about these kids because they think they're too young for this thing. I mean, like, I actually love how they actually give a lot of importance to children and youths in developed countries, and in our country. I mean, now they're actually trying with this government. They're trying very hard to boost the rights of young people and children. So yeah, so we actually don't care about their mental status. You know, like, how are they facing this? What is locked down to them? What does it mean to wake up every day and to do the same thing over and over and over again? It becomes quite boring, you know. So it is not easy. And then, you know, when you have to do things over and over again, it actually becomes boring. And then, you know, apparently things will come up in your mind, you know, like, they have a negative impact. Negative behavior will start to develop. Online bullying can start, you know, making stupid videos on TikTok just to get famous. This is something Payal was telling me in the morning, eh? Like, because parents are not there to fully see them, so they do crazy things just to get attention because they want attention. They, you know, like, it's something that makes them happy, and in the quest to get attention, they end up doing, you know, crazy things.
Yeah. Our settlement is such a gym that children play with the next door neighbors in their compound or in our compound. And not every kid has a smartphone. If one kid has a phone, 5 of them will be all hopping in on that same smartphone to have a bit of the video game or be online. So one person, or that impact, the boredness, like what Elaine is saying, can create a very negative impact. And the most important part is that where the parents should come in and play that role, where they start supervising even more, is that they become lazy, or they're just playing, or they're just on phone, or there's no supervision. We do not have those kind of protective apps where we monitor children, or we create a barrier, what they access, what they don't access. Over here is just, okay, I'm busy, give him your phone, telling the husband, give your children your phone, like, let them, like, not bother me for a bit, like, I need a timeout. So these are the some of the things that was happening during the lockdown, because there was online classes available. I believe Elaine knows the process, but not every child had a laptop or the privilege to do online classes. So they had to deal with these. Some of the kids were traveling up the mountain for a good network and to be online on the class. Some of them were sharing laptops. So either it had a very positive impact, children started working together, started understanding, or there was very bad negative impacts. Yeah.
So you both as women entrepreneurs, dealing with the lockdown, prior to lockdown, the lockdown, and now that, Payal, before this stream started or before this recording started, we were talking about the current situation that you're having regarding goods and services and products when it comes to getting product available and also shipping and all that. What impact and how much stress is that both of you trying to run your own businesses? How much stress is out there right now related to getting good supplies or even shipping things?
So I think there's, if you are a business entrepreneur in agriculture, you will enjoy this moment where your products and you're taking advantage of that opportunity where you're selling locally. But if you're an entrepreneur and you invested very highly in products from overseas, innovative products such as coatings or a unique supply that Elaine brings online for selected customers. Now, I literally had to pay double. So if my order from my suppliers was 35,000 Fijian, the costing for shipment was exactly the same. So I had to now, at this point, the dilemma is that, do I continue business? Do I continue supply? But then we can't go back because this is how recovery is. We will have to stretch out. We'll have to stress out. We'll have to forego so many things, sacrifice so many other things that we had planned. So basically, COVID has just flipped the plan into no plan and just focus on recovery. So the impact that financially, the burden, I think 8 times 10. Not only that, is that the warehouse where we start from, and then having your staffs vaccinated, getting their swab test done, it's all costing the business money. Is the business generating that kind of revenue at this moment? No. Everything is slow. The availability of funds and grants, most of the Pacific Island funds and grants goes to direct ministries or the government for recovery. Businesses get a certain portion of it. By the time it comes to you, whether you've lost the business or you're paying that grant of money that has given to you is of no use, because then you're paying the same amount to get. So just to stretch out everything, I think this is going to carry on for the South Pacific or globally for the next year or two. By 2025, maybe, then we'll say now we in the recovery mode. Other than that, I think the impact of businesses trying to sustain, to be more resilient, it's gonna be costing us a foot and a leg.
Yeah, and Elaine, same thing for you. Question-wise, how much of an impact has it been for goods, services, and shipping and other aspects of your business?
I would actually agree with Payal in terms of the shipping cost. I mean, like, it has doubled or tripled, and when you're not actually making much due to the COVID Act that is in place in the country just to protect everybody, it becomes very hard. I mean, like, all your profit, you actually start to think, am I going to make anything, save anything, or am I going to use this to get the product in? But either way, it's either a do or die situation, because you have put in so much into your business and you don't want to go back. I would like to personally share what my father went through. I lost my father this year in May, and I've actually learned business from him. And they actually live on daily income, because he had a small investment of these solar products, because solar is actually quite it's in demand. The torch and the lights, and so they actually used to go to village for sales. But when there was a lockdown, my mom used to tell me that every day he used to wake up and he used to keep on thinking. The stock was there with him. When I went home and I saw it, it just broke me down emotionally. All the stock, everything was there. However, he could not move around to sell it, and then he was looking at the house. It needed renovation, and every day I think it was killing him inside. It was affecting his mental health. He was quiet. He was quiet. He was not talking much. He wasn't eating much, and the day he passed away, Jim, it is quite sad. This is actually how people are facing He actually went on that day, and it was a Saturday. I actually think he had only 95 minutes left to live while selling his product. He made a sale of $25. He actually put it in his pocket, and he was sitting and talking to my mom, and he just drank the juice, and he stood up, he walked 1 2, he fell down, and he died on spot in Nosori market. And none of us, neither myself or my brothers, there's 6 of us, we were all out of the place because all of us were locked down in separate areas in the country, and my mom was beating herself down in the market because there was none of us to actually pick my father's body and take him to the hospital. So that is something that we are dealing at. I have personally dealt with, and I'm grateful that there were Baro boys who actually helped my mom out to carry my dad's body to the hospital. And we had to plead with so many people, but in our country, I mean, like, our prime minister is quite good, because he personally, I messaged him and he said, Elaine, we have to get the permanent secretary's permission for you to go from here to Pacific Harbor. But that time my daughter was only 3 months old, and I had to make the choice of my life whether to leave my children behind, because in Pacific Harbor the situation back in May was so bad. Like, you cannot enter the shop, kids were not allowed. It was very hard. And I'm quite grateful to Minister Rosie Akbar. I mean, like, she comes down to the ground and she was chatting with me. She was like, Elaine, you have to think hard. There's one side is your father who brought you up, and you have to bid farewell to him, and the other side is your kids, because it is not easy to raise kids who are 5 and below, because they can be quite demanding, and my husband would have been alone. We can't arrange for a babysitter now because of COVID, because we cannot risk it. Despite having the pass, the permanent secretary gave me the pass. He said, I can go, but I cannot come back. And I did not know when the border might have opened. So all of this had impacted, like, I sometimes blame COVID for the death of my father, because it was affecting his business, So there might be the frame when he passed away, there were so many men who died of heart attack, I was reading in the local newspaper, my father had a heart attack, and he was not eating, he was not taking his medication, because the depression was, the factor that led him to do that. And that might be the reason for people that are not on this show, but they must be listening. I mean, they will listen. They all have gone through it. Everybody had suffered the wrath of COVID emotionally. There has anxiety, and I, now when things are blooming, I'm actually wondering, I wish my dad was alive to see this day that the borders have opened within the country, and, all his stocks would have been sold, So every time I write about him, but it's just too late. He's gone, So that is the impact COVID had on people who actually do a daily business. They live on daily income.
Yeah.
Everybody, like, and then like, from them we go right up to the ones who actually have bigger business. And that time supermarkets, they actually raised the prices for certain groceries, and I mean, Payal would agree, people were not getting enough money, but the prices of groceries were quite high. And something that I really admire about this government is that when you reach out to them, they actually listen to you. That is something that a lot of people are not aware. I always believe in self-awareness. You actually have that, because we did not have this with the previous government in this country. They wouldn't listen, because they would act like, I'm a minister and I will be like this. I mean, like, you are a commoner, you act like a commoner. But with the current government, they're not like that. You tell them, sir, madam, I'm facing this. They actually help you. They actually, they decided to come out on a budget. And in that budget, things started to blossom for the people. They decided to give this 10,000 grant for people to start up a business. And they have this grant for youths. And then, there's so many other things that they're doing. They're doing their part strategically. But then people, apart from that, they actually try to make things look in a manner that they're not doing anything. But that's not true, There are aid and stuffs available. But like, I would agree with what Payal was saying. the government is doing their part. It's about time, because they're trying to fight the COVID. They're in power. They're actually given the power by the people. People voted them in to actually help them with the national crisis. So I'm not saying that the NGOs are not doing anything. I mean, I'm glad they were helping out with ration distribution and other things.
Yeah.
But like, it comes down to the mission and vision of why others are there, because there are people who are suffering with mental health, and we actually need this at ground level. That is the whole reason why our youths actually, when there is no food on the table, that will instigate them to go and steal, because some of them, it's actually happening where I live.
Yeah.
And when you talk to them, I was just talking to a group of youths that I've actually employed. They're actually cleaning up the pond that I've adopted. So they were telling me, madam, the reason why we do this is because there's no food on the table. We have our children, some of them are young parents. They actually cry, and then they cannot see it. So when they see a vacant villa, they go and break in. They take whatever they can find and sell it for food. So food, money is the reason for them to do this crime. So, probably if we have certain programs where we can help, young people, women and children, to deal with these emotions that they have inside, because our emotions, when it comes to our family, I'm not just talking about myself, I'm talking about everybody. When you actually try to invade somebody's territory and their own is affected, definitely they're going to hit back hard, and sometimes it's positive and sometimes it's very, very negative.
Exactly.
Yeah. Elaine, thank you. I'm so sorry for your loss. Thank you for sharing that story. It's so important to talk about these events that have happened. Loss through COVID was not only just from the impact of the virus itself, but also from the other results and effects that have happened because of COVID-19. Yeah. You were talking about NGOs, and you're talking about the government helping in some areas. Open question to both of you. What recommendations do you have for women entrepreneurs? And then what recommendations would you have for the government or NGOs to help Fiji, also Pacific Island, when it comes to women entrepreneurs and pretty much anyone in these island nations?
I'd strongly I'd strongly agree with Elaine that the NGOs were providing food rations, and the focus was driven all about food, not being hungry. There's no job, there's no money. And so the attention went from an individual and other issues to providing food and fighting COVID. My advice to every woman entrepreneur out there is not to quit. We have not fought and we have not come this far. Even as a Pacific Island nation, we have not struggled or endured these losses, these journey of COVID just to quit. We have to motivate ourselves individually. We can't expect an NGO to intervene to help, or to somebody to come in a timely manner and wait for the situation to get worse, because we can do that. And if you think you can create that impact as an individual, please influence the other two individuals, entrepreneurs, whether men or women around you, to be impacting another two. Speak to them, share their load, create that network. What me and Elaine did today, we had an hour and a half chat. We were talking about all situations. So she was empowering me, I was empowering her. The importance of, like she said, self-awareness. We must start realizing if the help is not coming from the government or an NGO, how we can help ourselves. Either we let the certain situation, especially how crippled we are in terms of particular help to come, whether it's funding, grant, or support. We can't let that kill the vision and the mission we have set. COVID has not only impacted Fiji, the Pacific Island, globally. And I think every other individual around the world who might listen would be able to relate that some of us has really fought through this. Some of us has really fallen. And those who think that me and Elaine was just talking about establishing an NGO, so maybe something great might come out. And then we are thinking of identifying the areas where some other NGOs or some other organization didn't identify, or they didn't step in. maybe we can start working on those areas, because if we have two individuals with the same mindset, focused to help a particular situation, I think two is enough to create few waves, raise few eyebrows, create, put light to some issues. And yeah, I think we need more people to become more self-aware. Individuals, especially entrepreneurs, women, not to quit, talk to each other, speak out, reach out, check your sister, check your friend, just to understand your next door neighbor business, if they're doing okay. I think that's how the world will survive and will move forward. And I think for Fiji, we are a very friendly nation. Most of the people out here, whether during lockdown or so, if people were stuck, there was people of different colors giving shelter and accommodating other people. And so that's the beauty about our country and the Pacific Islands, is that even if we reach out, we are able to create that impact. So it's, again, Jim, like I'll elaborate on that again. It's just, if you think you have the power to make the change, you help out another two and ask them to help out another two, and then the other help will come on just to boost it up.
Very good, very good. Elaine, any recommendations that you have that weren't covered by Payal?
I guess most of it is actually covered by Payal. However, all I would like to say is whoever is watching us today, know that COVID is not here to stay. The world has fought cancer. The world has fought AIDS. I mean, like, we're dealing with it without the cure. So there will be a time when we are going to be resilient with this pandemic, COVID-19. Do not give in to the struggle or the tension or the stress or arguments that you might be having today, because there might be factors that are causing those emotions. But know that when there is a willpower in you, then there is definitely a way. You might be in a tunnel that might seem dark today, but remember, keep going forward. You will come to the light and you will come out of it. Just like I have with my family. I gave birth to my daughter at 10 months. I've dealt with all sorts of stress. I was traveling for work when there was no border. And for that, I thought my daughter would not have a clear, a good weight. But then I thank God that she was 4.1 kg and she was all fit and fine, and she's just perfect. So I kept going. So every setback will prepare you for a powerful comeback. Your comeback has to be powerful. I would like to thank the government of the day for helping people. And I would also like to thank the NGOs for all that you're doing. However, the quest for our mental health, if this is not proper, then things will not be proper. So all I urge for our NGOs to do is, if they can provide some kind of sustainable program, like, we have to become sustainable. We cannot become dependent. We have to become independent. There is aid, there is grant, there are opportunities available if there can be more training provided to them. Because why I'm saying this is because our NGOs are actually able to reach to the people at grassroots level. When the government actually sits at strategic planning, when they're up there doing all the policy making and all this, and they have their ministries to do the thing. But then our NGOs come with a vision and mission. They have this, they want to do this, they actually have the passion. So COVID is an eye opener. Like we say, marriage is an eye opener. COVID is an eye opener to the realities and the struggles people face. How about we get down to the grassroots level and fix them? We become sustainable and we come out with the solution. We know the problem. I mean, like, I actually have an NGO which is known as Diversity Awareness, and I work with people at ground level. So when I identify a problem, I know I have to come up with a strategic solution, and it has to be sustainable, so that these people don't depend on me. When they have a problem, they don't call me and say, Elaine, there's this problem. When they see a problem, they should know that, oh, I can do this, and then this will solve the problem, So that is the quest that we have. This is what we need to do as founders of NGOs. We have to ensure that the people who look out to us, we have to make them sustainable, and we have to make them live for themselves, with their tough skin. That's life. That's the hustle and bustle of life. So yeah, that's a bit from my end.
Excellent. So last question for you. It's going to be, how can people get in contact with you? Elaine, how can people support your initiatives, how can people get in contact with you to learn a little bit more about what you're doing? What's the best way?
So I actually have a page on Facebook. It is called Diversity Awareness. They can actually reach out to me through that page. I have my students who actually finish university. So most of them are medical students and law students. So I actually, sometimes when we do certain projects, we actually, I let them know and they come on board and we do a collaborative video, like we just wish to inspire. So if people want to reach out to me, they can actually follow that page. Another thing is today, Payal and I actually spoke about collaborating and doing something because I love what she has. She has a great strength of criminal law, something that Fiji actually needs to focus on a lot. And she has psychology because I think the government of the day is actually giving scholarships for psychology in this country because it's much needed. Mental health is, mental health is the stability of our mind. But then mental illness is real and we need to help people. So I actually want to collaborate with her and we would like to work on, something that is actually going to help people deal with this because it's happening, we cannot deny it. We cannot say that all of us have a proper state of mind. Sometimes we all have anxiety and it needs to be addressed. I'm not saying that nothing has been done in this country. There is. Like my Ministry of Health does work with, they train Fiji police in terms of mental health awareness. But more should be done because we have so many ministries and to help we're going to work on something because we have a professional here, who's into entrepreneurship. I would like to use her mind and collaborate with what I have and we can venture on something that will help our country because we are the daughters of Fiji. We need to give back somewhere or the other,
Very
the future
good.
is female, Jim.
I will make sure that
yeah, sorry.
No, I was going to say for the viewers, what I'll do is I'll make sure that I do put the link for the Facebook group for you, Elaine. This way people can take a look and join and follow.
Yeah, and they can also search me up on Facebook with
Excellent.
my name and they can drop me a message and I will definitely get back. I respect people with passion and both Payal and I, we come from a struggling family. We didn't have anything. We were not born with a silver spoon in our mouth. Whatever we have is merely, everything that we have is from hard work. It's never easy. The struggle is real. And these struggles have actually made us who we are. And we know that there are people out there who are like us. There are women like us. There are men like us who actually, they have struggled so much. You come back from school and you see your parents having this issue and you have domestic violence. And, now when I've grown up, I know that the reason was money because there were 6 of us. My parents didn't have enough education. One was just Form 6 pass and one was just Form 4 and they had 6 children. So, it's never easy, but I'm grateful for them because all of us have actually turned out to be in good professions. Doctors and nurses and chef, so we turned out to be good. I'm able to speak proper English. I'm thankful for my parents for that, without a proper job. So, the guidance, So Payal was actually sharing the same thing with me. And we would like to get to the kids who are in worse situation than us, and we can tell them our stories that, hey, life had given us coals, but we have turned them into diamonds, and so can you, and we are here to help you. And in return, we don't need anything from you. We don't need any cash from you. It's FOC,
Yeah, very good, very good. And Payal, how can people get in contact with you other than LinkedIn?
So most of my pages on Facebook is business related. I have a professional page and I have you, Jim. Anybody who would like to get any information about my background or what our future plans are, please feel free to contact Jim or add me on Facebook. Jim, you can share my Facebook link. And yeah, I'm more than happy to. We will be actually, if you become a friend on Facebook, then we'll be advertising our future plans there as well.
Excellent.
So definitely. But the cause will remain, like Elaine said, we want to make that positive impact for every individual. We want to raise those questions and raise awareness on issues which we do not really think is important or
Yeah.
is a factor that affects us. Like I've shared this many times, that growing up as a child, we did not know what ADHD was or what autism was. I had children, or my classmates would be really, really cheeky and naughty, and teachers would spank them, saying that, oh, you're just too naughty. Your parents don't teach you anything at home. And going and getting the education in Sydney and understanding that this is autism, this is ADHD, and children behave in this way. And I'm thinking back and I was like, wow, I didn't even realize that these diseases existed, and the name for those kind of kids or what they suffered was this. So there's a lack of awareness, there's a lack of information out there, the lack of, like she said, mental health, mental illness. The effect of mental health that it has direct is in the mental illness that comes with it, and then also the other sort of violence, abuse that is related. So we just want to make sure that if you're an individual woman in the South Pacific and in Fiji and you're listening to this, please feel free to add us, contact us. We are here. Whatever connections or help that you need that we could give you, we'll do it. Even a word of encouragement, you want to encourage us, we will encourage you. You're doing the same thing as me and Elaine are planning to do, or you're already doing it, please connect with us. We'd love to join. We'd love to collaborate. We'd love to listen to your journey as well. I think this is how we build up a smaller nation, is just by coming together, you know?
Very
So,
good.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much for this opportunity to speak about it. I know time is the worst enemy that we have in our hands right now. But I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you, Jim, for always having that time and the availability to listen to us and what the situations are for our smaller Pacific Islands. And I'm pretty sure you've enjoyed listening to our long stories and our journeys as well today.
Yeah,
So
thank you.
Elaine, for making this an even more interesting. And I feel like that, yep, now we are really going to be doing some great impact.
Very, very good. Thank you both, and I so greatly appreciate it. And hopefully, maybe in a couple more months, we do another follow up and talk again and see where things are, what improvements have happened. So I know for me it's late right now. We're recording late for me. It's probably around afternoon for you in Fiji. So have a good rest of your day, both of you.
You too, Jim. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that's it. We're done. And what I'll do is I'll edit this up this weekend and let you both know what's going on. We can work on a release date, but I'll edit this weekend and then we'll look to schedule it to get it out.
Sorry, I think we need 2-3 hours to talk about the impacts of what we actually go through here.
Yeah, with the pre-recorded stuff, I have to keep it under an hour, so that's why I was kind of at the end there, kind of rushing things a little bit because I did American Business Women's Day, so we had an American Business Women's Day, and it went an hour and 18-minute interview, and I had 5 women entrepreneurs that I interviewed, and I could not stream it because it was over an hour, so I had to release it through my YouTube channel. But it worked out in the end. But this one I want to get it streamed out versus just being put out on my YouTube channel. So all right, thank you guys. Thank you so much. So appreciate having this opportunity to talk with you both.
Elaine, if you want to connect with Jim, he's on LinkedIn and also on Facebook, and the most superhuman you can ever connect with. Any information you need, Jim is always helpful.
Thank you.
He's been a great help.
I'll add you in, Jim. Thank you. Thank you for having me on. Thank you, Payal, for this opportunity.
No, my pleasure. Thank you for coming on board.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right. Have a good day.
You
Talk to
too,
you soon.
Jim. Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.